There are some truly great films on Apple TV right now. If you just browse their featured section, you're bound to find something decent. But if you've already seen the obvious stuff and you want recommendations, the Apple TV algorithm just isn't going to push your way. I've got 8 genuinely great picks for you. And I put out 2 videos like this every single week, keeping your watch list full of movies worth your time. Oh, and all the streaming availability details are listed in the first pinned comment below. Now let's get into it. Starting at the bottom with a movie that is going to make you feel things you were not prepared to feel. This is a 3.5-hour historical epic, and I know that sounds like homework, but it doesn't feel like it, not even close. This one pulls you in early and does not let go. What makes it work is the performances. There's an actress in this film who does more with a look than most people do with a full scene. She grounds everything, makes it feel real in a way that historical dramas almost never manage.
Money flows freely here now.
I do love that money, sir.
And then you've got Robert De Niro playing a man so outwardly warm and charming that the slow reveal of who he actually is just creeps up on you. It's unsettling in the best way. Martin Scorsese directed this, and he's working at a level here that honestly feels unfair to other filmmakers. The cinematography is stunning, the score pulses underneath everything like a second heartbeat, and the story itself, based on real events, hits harder because of that. This isn't just a great film, it's an important one. That film is Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this next one is for a very specific audience, and I want to be upfront about that. If you are the type of person who finds naval warfare genuinely fascinating, this movie was made for you. If you're not that person, it might feel a little dry. But hear me out, because there's something here worth appreciating even if you're not a history buff. Tom Hanks wrote the screenplay and stars as a naval commander shepherding an Allied convoy across the Atlantic while German submarines close in. And the film basically just follows him issuing orders. Calm, methodical, precise orders repeated down a chain of command while the tension quietly builds underneath. There are no big speeches, no dramatic breakdowns, just the man doing his job under impossible pressure. That restraint is kind of the whole point. Hanks has always been interested in ordinary people doing extraordinary things without thinking of themselves as heroes. That theme is all over this movie. It clocks in under 90 minutes, it respects your time, and if you go in knowing what it is, it's a genuinely solid watch. That film is Greyhound. Alright, so this next one is a true story that sounds completely made up. If you pitch this as fiction, someone would tell you to dial it back. But it actually happened, and watching it play out is genuinely entertaining from start to finish.
It's called the Game Boy.
Package it with Tetris. Can you get us the rights?
Taron Egerton plays a real guy who discovers a video game at a trade convention and immediately realizes it could be massive. The problem is getting the rights, and getting the rights means flying to Russia, navigating the KGB, dealing with shady businessmen, cutting through bureaucratic nightmares, and somehow managing to do right by the guy who actually invented the game in the first place. All of this over a puzzle game. It's wild. The first act is a little hyperactive. Lots of energy, lots of style, maybe a bit too much going on. But once the story moves to Russia, it locks in and stays locked in. It's funny, it's tense, and it's one of those stories that works precisely because it really happened. That film is Tetris. This next one is a con movie, a puzzle box vignette style con movie where every segment reframes what you just watched, and you're constantly trying to figure out who's actually running the table. It moves quickly, it looks great, and the cast is doing real work with the material. Now, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't fully deliver on its potential. The dialogue isn't as sharp as it wants to be, and the cons get a little harder to buy as things escalate. It's clearly inspired by David Mamet-style puzzle films, and it doesn't quite reach those heights. But the bones are good, and the cast carries it further than the script probably deserves.
You plays these games?
All that work for $1,000.
Julianne Moore is clearly having fun. Brianna Middleton is a genuine standout. She's handling a seriously layered role and making it look effortless, and I want to see her in a lot more films after this. It's not a perfect movie, but if you enjoy con thrillers and you go in with reasonable expectations, it's a satisfying watch. That film is sharper. Real quick before we get to the top 4, if you're enjoying this list, leave the video a like. It's way more helpful to me than you'd think, and if you want 2 videos like this every single week, movies worth actually watching the algorithm isn't going to recommend, click subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Alright, top 4, let's keep going. So this one is very much a B movie, and it knows it. It leans into it, and honestly, that's exactly what makes it work. Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy play elite snipers from opposing world powers, assigned to guard opposite sides of a massive gorge in an undisclosed location. Something lives at the bottom of that gorge, and the job is to make sure it stays there. The creature design is genuinely interesting, weird and practical leaning in a way you don't see much anymore. And director Scott Derrickson is clearly more interested in the set pieces than in subtlety, which is the right call for a movie like this. The first act is the weakest part. It takes a little too long finding its footing, but once the two leads start actually interacting and the action kicks in, the film becomes something genuinely fun and chaotic. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the score is an inspired choice, and it makes every sequence hit harder than it has any right to. There's a Jeep sequence in the middle of this film that is legitimately great. It's messy and maximalist and a little unhinged, and I mean all of that as a compliment. That film is The Gorge. This one exists almost entirely because George Clooney and Brad Pitt are two of the last genuine movie stars working today, and the film knows that. It is completely built around letting these two guys be these two guys on screen together, and it turns out that's more than enough.
Who are you?
I'm here to take care of your problem.
Who called you?
They play professional criminal cleaners, the kind you call when something goes very wrong and you need it to disappear quietly. The problem is they were both called in for the same job, and neither one wants to share the work. Every scene between them crackles. There's this quiet competition of ego and competence running underneath everything, and it's consistently entertaining without ever feeling forced. The plot spirals out in increasingly complicated directions. Albanian criminals, missing contraband, a very panicked politician, and John Watts keeps all of it moving with a loose, confident energy. The New York chase sequence is a standout. The violence is cartoonish enough to stay fun, and the whole thing just commits completely to being a good time, which is rarer than it sounds. That film is Wolves. This one is not a comfortable watch. I want to be clear about that going in. The first half is genuinely bleak, and it earns that bleakness, but it is heavy. What redeems it completely is the cast, which is operating at an exceptional level across the board.
I need help. Okay, let's get this over. Are you bleeding?
Julianne Moore plays a woman managing a horse stable, dealing with grief and trying to hold things together for a daughter who is deep in addiction. Sydney Sweeney gives one of the most volatile and unpredictable performances of her career here. She oscillates between vulnerable and explosive in ways that keep you constantly off balance. And Domhnall Gleeson shows up as a character you will immediately and thoroughly despise, which means he's doing exactly what the role needs. The film has a dark, cold visual style. The color palette, the score, the whole mood. It all works together to create something that feels genuinely suffocating. It probably would have worked better as a limited series, given how much suffering it stacks onto one character over 2 hours, but the performances alone make it worth the watch. That film is Echo Valley. My number one pick is directed by Paul Greengrass, who is one of the best in the business at dropping you inside a situation and making you feel every second of it. And this might be the most effective he has ever been at doing that, which is saying something. It's based on the true story of the 2018 campfire in California.
Hi, I'm Mary.
Kevin.
Kids, this is our bus driver, Kevin.
Matthew McConaughey plays a man trying to evacuate 23 elementary school children while the fire closes in from every direction. That's the whole movie, and it is relentless. The action sequences are white-knuckle in a way that is genuinely hard to shake after the fact. McConaughey is really good here in a quiet, understated way. He's not doing anything showy, he's just making you believe completely in a man carrying an unbearable amount of weight and refusing to put it down. The opening act spends a little too long on backstory that the film doesn't really need, but once the fire starts, this thing does not stop. Best experienced on the biggest screen you have access to, but it will get to you either way. That film is The Lost Bus. And that is the full list. Now, speaking of films worth your time, my next video is one you do not want to miss. We are heading over to Prime Video for 10 disturbing thrillers that Prime is basically hiding from you. Brutal, gripping, genuinely unforgettable stuff. And it might be the strongest list I've put together yet. Click that video right now. I'll see you over there.